TV soap news and spoilers say that in the vibrant, pulsating heart of Chicago, where the wind howls through skyscraper canyons and the city's rhythm beats like a drum, a story of redemption, reunion, and unforeseen peril unfolds. Anita, a woman whose voice once soared alongside the legendary Articulates, has returned to her roots. The stage is set for a dramatic chapter in her life, one that promises to rekindle old bonds and resurrect a legacy, but at what cost? As she steps back into the city where it all began, a shadow looms, threatening to unravel her dreams with a sudden, catastrophic twist. This is the tale of Anita, Tracy, and Sharon, three women bound by music, memory, and a past fraught with triumphs and tribulations, now facing a journey that could either restore their harmony or shatter it forever. A homecoming charged with hope. Anita stood on the corner of Michigan Avenue, the windy city's pulse thrumming beneath her feet. The skyline glittered against the evening sky, a mosaic of steel and glass that mirrored her own complex emotions. She clutched her phone, her voice warm and vibrant as she spoke to Vernon, her longtime friend and confidant. "I'm back, Vernon," she said, a smile breaking through the weight of years. "Chicago feels alive again. It's like the city's been waiting for us." The Articulates, Anita, Tracy, and Sharon, were once a sensation, their harmonies weaving magic in smoky clubs and grand theaters across the Midwest. Their music, a blend of soul, jazz, and R&B, captured the spirit of a generation. But time, ambition, and unresolved conflicts had driven a wedge between them, scattering their dreams like leaves in a storm. Now, years later, Anita had returned to Chicago, the cradle of their legacy, determined to resurrect the Articulates and reclaim the spark that once defined them. The trio's reunion was no small feat. Tracy, with her fiery spirit and razor-sharp wit, had been hesitant, her trust bruised by past betrayals. Sharon, the quiet dreamer, carried scars from personal losses that had dimmed her once radiant optimism. Yet, the pull of their shared history was undeniable. Chicago, with its gritty charm and vibrant music scene, was the only place where they could confront their past and forge a new future. The city's jazz clubs, its street performers, and the echoes of Motown in every corner were a siren call, urging them to rediscover their rhythm. The weight of the past. Their journey began with a promise, to restore the Articulates, to relearn the choreography that had once flowed effortlessly, to dust off their collaborative instincts and find the synchronicity that made them legends. But Chicago was more than a backdrop, it was a crucible. The city held memories of their youth, their first performances in cramped venues, and the bitter disputes that had torn them apart. Every street corner seemed to whisper of old wounds, of arguments left unresolved, and of dreams abandoned in the heat of pride. Anita, the group's anchor, felt the weight of this history most acutely. She remembered the late-night rehearsals, the laughter that echoed through their shared apartment, and the moment when a record deal slipped through their fingers, fracturing their unity. Tracy had blamed Anita for not fighting harder, while Sharon had retreated into silence, unable to mediate the growing rift. Now, standing in the city where it all began, Anita knew that their revival would require more than talent. It would demand courage, forgiveness, and a willingness to confront the ghosts of their past. Their first meeting was at a small cafe in the Loop, a place they used to frequent as teenagers. The air was thick with nostalgia as they sat around a worn wooden table, the scent of coffee mingling with the faint hum of jazz from a nearby speaker. Tracy's eyes darted skeptically, her arms crossed, while Sharon fidgeted with her napkin, her gaze distant. Anita, ever the optimist, broke the silence. "We were unstoppable once," she said, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "We can be again. This city, it's in our blood. Let's start here, where it all began." The plan was ambitious, a series of performances across Chicago, starting with open mic nights and culminating in a headline show at the historic Regal Theater. They would need to relearn their old songs, craft new ones, and rebuild the chemistry that had once made them shine. But the road ahead was fraught with challenges. Tracy's sharp tongue masked her fear of failure, while Sharon's quiet demeanor hid a lingering grief that threatened to derail their efforts. Anita, caught between them, knew that their success depended on her ability to hold them together. The city as muse and menace Chicago, with its kaleidoscope of sounds and stories, became their muse. They spent days wandering the city, drawing inspiration from its vibrant chaos. They visited the South Side, where they'd once performed at community centers, and the North Side, where jazz clubs still thrived. They watched street performers at Millennium Park, their voices blending with the city's pulse, and spent evenings in dive bars, soaking in the raw energy of live music. Each experience fueled their creativity, sparking new ideas for songs and choreography. Yet, the city was also a reminder of their vulnerabilities. Chicago streets, while inspiring, were unforgiving. The trio faced logistical hurdles, booking venues, securing rehearsal spaces, and navigating the city's competitive music scene. More daunting were the emotional barriers. During one rehearsal, Tracy stormed out after a disagreement over a song's arrangement, her frustration echoing their past conflicts. Sharon, struggling with her own insecurities, hesitated to share her new compositions, fearing they wouldn't measure up. Anita, determined to keep them on track, pushed herself to the brink, her optimism strained by the mounting pressure. As the weeks passed, their progress was undeniable but fragile. They began to recapture their old magic, their voices blending in harmonies that sent shivers through their audiences. Small gigs at local clubs drew enthusiastic crowds, and whispers of the Articulates' return began to spread. Yet, beneath the surface, tension simmered. Anita sensed that their unity was a delicate thread, one that could snap under the weight of their unresolved past. The shadow of tragedy. It was a crisp autumn evening when the unthinkable happened. The trio had just finished a rehearsal at a studio in Wicker Park, their voices still ringing with the promise of their comeback. They were walking along Division Street, laughing and reminiscing, when Anita, distracted by her phone, stepped into the crosswalk. The screech of tires shattered the night, a delivery truck swerving too late to avoid her. The impact was brutal, sending Anita sprawling across the pavement, her body limp and motionless. Tracy's scream pierced the air as Sharon froze, her hands trembling. Bystanders rushed to help, their voices a chaotic blur as they called for an ambulance. The truck driver, pale and shaken, stammered apologies, but the scene was a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. Anita, the heart of the Articulates, lay unconscious, her fate uncertain as sirens wailed in the distance. At the hospital, Tracy and Sharon sat in the waiting room, their faces etched with fear and guilt. Tracy's bravado had vanished, replaced by a raw vulnerability she hadn't shown in years. "This can't be happening," she whispered, her voice breaking. Sharon, tears streaming down her face, clutched Tracy's hand, her silence more eloquent than words. The doctor's updates were grim. Anita had suffered a severe concussion, multiple fractures, and internal injuries. She was stable but in critical condition, her recovery uncertain. The accident sent shockwaves through their plans, forcing Tracy and Sharon to confront the fragility of their reunion. They sat by Anita's bedside, surrounded by the sterile hum of machines, grappling with the possibility that their dream might end before it could truly begin. The city that had inspired them now felt like a cruel adversary, its streets a reminder of their vulnerability. A test of resilience. Anita's accident became a turning point, a crucible that tested the strength of their bond. Tracy and Sharon, forced to navigate their grief and fear, began to open up in ways they hadn't before. Tracy admitted her role in their past conflicts, confessing that her pride had driven a wedge between them. Sharon, in turn, shared the pain of her personal losses, revealing how they had shaped her reluctance to fully commit to the group's revival. In the quiet of the hospital room, with Anita's steady breathing as their backdrop, they began to heal old wounds, their honesty forging a new foundation. Meanwhile, Anita's recovery was a slow, arduous journey. Days turned into weeks, marked by physical therapy, setbacks, and small victories. Her spirit, though battered, remained unbroken. She spoke of the accident with a mix of fear and determination, vowing to return to the stage. "This city tried to break me," she told Tracy and Sharon, her voice weak but resolute. "But I'm not done yet. We're not done." The Articulate's story became a beacon of resilience, drawing attention from local media and music enthusiasts. Their small gigs had already sparked interest, but Anita's accident turned their journey into a narrative of triumph over adversity. Crowds gathered outside the hospital, leaving flowers and messages of support. The city, once a source of pain, became a symbol of hope, its people rallying behind the trio's comeback. A new chapter months later, Anita took her first tentative steps back into the spotlight. The Regal Theater, where they had dreamed of performing, was packed with fans old and new. The Articulates took the stage, their voices stronger, their harmonies richer for the trials they had endured. Anita, still recovering, stood at the center, her presence a testament to their unyielding spirit. The music flowed, a tapestry of pain, joy, and redemption, weaving together their past and present. Chicago, with its relentless energy and unforgiving streets, had tested them in ways they could never have imagined. The accident that threatened to derail their dreams had instead forged a deeper bond, reminding them of the power of their shared history. The Articulates were back, not just as performers, but as sisters bound by a journey that had taken them beyond the gates of their past, into a future bright with possibility. As the final notes of their performance echoed through the theater, the audience rose in a standing ovation, their applause a thunderous affirmation of the trio's resilience. Anita, Tracy, and Sharon stood together, hands clasped, their eyes shining with tears and triumph. Chicago had given them their start, broken their hearts, and nearly claimed one of their own. But it had also given them the strength to rise again, their voices a testament to the enduring power of music, friendship, and the will to overcome. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe TV Soap News Spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.